It's too much. It's too much. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Yvonna. It is Tuesday, and I'm feeling like Tarot Tuesday might be the vibe because the vibe is off. I have no idea what's going on. Like, it's eclipse season, so there's something that is opening up, but the thing that is opening up is driving all of us wild. So I thought it'd be nice to take another lunch break from my job and dedicate it to reading for y'all. So I will have information about how to book me in my, what do you call it on YouTube? It's not the caption, description. I will also put a card up here of last week's reading because they are not time sensitive. If you need it, you need it, and that's how it is. There really is nothing else to say other than the vibe is off, something's awry. So I'm gonna do things can I even say I'm gonna do things different because I haven't done this that many times to have really hit a stride. It's not going to be exactly like it was last time. Number one, the energy is different. Number two, I'm going to be using a different deck. I'm going to be using the Modern Witches Tarot instead of the Neo Tarot. And I'm also going to be using the Illustrated Herbiary, which is an oracle deck. And I'm excited. I don't have anything else to say. I think it's time to let the cards do the talking. So I'm gonna prep the space very similar to how I did last time. I'm using an elixir that I made from, I don't even know how to explain it. I just call it fertilizer. It helps me to align with y'all's intentions and to be able to really tap in. I'm just going to spread it in the space and then let it dry down some. A love-hate relationship with the sound of my jewelry like scraping against this table. If you read tarot for other people, I highly suggest cleansing your space, your physical space before and after. It makes a really big difference. I'm reading tarot at my desk that I work from, so it's really important for me to keep a clean slate. I'm gonna be lighting these incense that my Nana gave me. She also gave me this little like dish. It's for cones and incense sticks, and it's really funny because she gave me the exact one that I had bought for myself like a few months before. I love my Nana. Her birthday's coming up. Okay, so yeah, while this table dries down, I don't really have a lot I want to say other than because of all of this, what's the word, rigmarole that's being caused by all of these eclipses. This is dry. We are really experiencing a lot of like just strange things happening like one after the other. So it doesn't feel like it's time to feel this way. It feels like people are jumping the gun on like how to feel and when to feel. Like, people I think are scared of like something so much so that they are like really incriminating themselves, like just through their actions and like their ideals. Like, I think there's a lot of people pleasing that's going on right now, and because of all the people pleasing that's going on, it's like, okay, yeah, people pleasing, because of all the people pleasing that's going on right now, like it's causing like a lot of like turmoil. This is not how this reading is supposed to go. So because this card fell out, I think that I'm just gonna slide her over here, move all those crystals over, and I'm just gonna pick some cards for a pile so that we can just get to reading. Once again, there's really no rhyme or reason as to why these piles are like this. It's just what I feel called to do. These piles are kind of big this time. This is a very talkative deck, in my opinion. At least she is for me. I'm not sure about other folks, but she loves to tell you about yourself. There's like a pile here that is obviously bigger than the others, and I think that's interesting. Let me move this, oops, a little bit. Not very neat, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay. And now I'm going to pick oracle cards to match the piles from the Illustrated Herbiary. This is a very, very beautiful book that comes with an oracle deck. So I will be reading from the deck and from the book because I don't use this deck often enough to be able to really give you what it's supposed to give, basically. So I'm just gonna shuffle these. This is what they look like. I love the smell of this incense. I'm a big jasmine person. Okay, so I don't read these in reverse, so if they show up in reverse, I honestly won't know what to do. So that'll be really interesting. Let me make this just a little bit more attractive. Okay, so got these 3 crystals. I literally picked these up yesterday. I have not been crystal shopping in almost a year, but these really called to me when I saw them, and I could not leave them. So they came home with me. So now it's time to take a deep breath and figure out what pile feels right for you. Let's move them down. Let's get a cute thumbnail out of this. Okay, so we have black tourmaline, we have Chrysoprase. I have no idea. I've never seen this stone before. It looks like sea foam. And we have Mangano, probably Mangano Calcite. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a second to choose, and then we'll get into it. This reading is already starting off kind of chaotic. Like, the vibes are off, okay? The vibes are completely off. All right, hope you chose. So we're gonna start with black tourmaline. So let's just go ahead and slide everybody else out the way. I think it's interesting that you picked this pile because black tourmaline is used to repel and protect against negativity. It's also a really good stone to grid your house with. Black tourmaline really sucks up what people are throwing at you, and contains it until you can cleanse it of that energy. So this is, if the vibes are off, this is the stone to fix the vibe. Let's start with the oracle card first. Oats. And what am I doing here? These cards are really pretty, and they have the page number on the bottom, and they have a little, almost like a summation at the top, and it says just be. So I've never seen this card before. This is my first time ever pulling this card, so we're gonna have to definitely read this together. So we're gonna move this out the way and move that to the side, and we're gonna go to page 112, I believe. Can y'all see that? Just be oats. Shh, shh, shh. Oat murmurs as you run your hands over her tops. Shh, shh, she says as the wind picks up, trying to ruffle Oat's ever-present calm. If the breeze continues, she'll gently chide, chee, chee, chee. But that's all the reaction that you will get as she rubs her shoulders with her sisters, laughing quietly and murmuring that all really is well, despite what the wind and the radio waves or the internet has to say. When you slip into stress, Oat smiles gently and runs her fingers through your hair. Stop grappling endlessly with your thoughts, she whispers. Soften to the wind, be open to the sky, and ground yourself in earth. So know the truth of this precious moment. That's beautiful. It also comes with like a ritual and a reflection. And I think that the reflection is probably what's going to be the most relevant here. But if you are curious, I say pause it. And I don't know how legible this is, but you know, this is a beautiful book, and I don't want to like expose all of the book. Like, if you are enjoying this, you should definitely get your hands on some Maya Toll. Going silent. Can you just be? Can you let go of expectations and the need to know? Can you release the quest for answers to your questions or conclusions to your stories? This is oat medicine. In a way, it's quite like meditation, floating in a soft space, letting your nerves relax. And it takes practice. Can you gift yourself a minute of softness? Or 25? See if your mind rebels at the thought of going silent. Okay, so I think that what I'm getting from this is that like, you are definitely a doer, and you are a person that is like, well, is going to get taken care of because I'm going to take care of it. And that's not bad, but it seems like what is happening is that you need to chill out. Like, your need for stability is valid, and it's not to be questioned or removed or anything like that, but you really just need to like calm down, because your stress is throwing you into more like stress. Like, you're causing a chaotic environment for yourself entirely on accident, just because of your need to control everything. And when you can't control things, this is really, some of these cards showed up in the last reading, and I'm curious as to if you chose whatever pile you chose in the last reading, if that pile corresponds with what's happening right now. If it does, drop a comment. If you don't chill out, people are going to start to pull away from you, and it's going to hurt your feelings more, and then you're going to feel like you have to go even harder. And because of this message, you really need to think about like what happens to you, the way that you interact with your people, the way that you interact with, like, what's the word? Spontaneity, if you don't learn what it means to just be. And I think that ultimately, if you share your fears with the people in your life, they will help you to absorb them. And in that absorption, you will have a literal weight lifted off of you. The people in your life could be professionals that you pay. Like, don't dump all your problems on your wax lady. Okay, like if you're feeling weird, you know, maybe see if you can make an appointment with someone who is a mental health professional. The people in your life are there to support you, but they are not equipped with the tools that you need to feel better. And because they're not equipped with those tools, you're feeling like you have to do things yourself, and then it's hurting your feelings, but you're relying on the wrong people to do the wrong things. And that lack of like accountability that's causing your understanding of reliability to flip and flop is, it seems like you're spending money on things to make yourself feel better, but not spending money on things to make yourself actually better. So maybe like some impulse spending is like happening, and like that impulse spending is like causing you to feel good for a short amount of time, but then ultimately you fall back into this like extreme discomfort. And through sharing your burden, the pages, the cups, all of these together is about like sharing a burden. Through sharing the burden, it seems to be like a mental burden that like comes from probably trauma, which is like fine and okay, but like probably a trauma with a lack of resources. But that like burden being shared will literally change your life. It'll make it so that you can actually start to like feel the benefit of everything that you've been working for. This reading is probably the shortest, and I also think that that's interesting because the incense is almost out. These do not burn as, ooh, that's putting off a lot of heat, do not burn as long as the other brand does. So this will probably go out before I even get through all of the readings, which is not bad, but I think that it's interesting that not only you chose Tourmaline, but you chose the reading that is probably going to have the most smoke. And on top of that, you got this message that says that like your current perception of abundance needs to change, basically, is how I would like sum this up, which is not like difficult. This does not say that it's like too late for you to like get the vibe back on, but like maybe don't spend money as a way to like ease the vibe that you're feeling, because it's not going to do what you need it to do. So I don't remember who was next, but this one's gonna be next. I'll make sure that the time stamps match, but I have no idea. So this is the Chrysoprase, which can help to heal a broken heart, which I thought was really interesting. I think I said earlier, I think it looks kind of like sea foam. It also says that it instills a state of grace within the user, provides for a non-judgmental attitude and the acceptance of others and self. So let's see why you think the vibe is off. Or no, let's see why the vibe is actually off in your life. So we're going to start with the card from the Herbiary. You got Comfrey. Last reading was the first time I ever pulled. I've had this deck for almost a year. Last reading was the first time I ever pulled a card that I had never seen, and this also was a card that I've never seen before. But this is very beautiful. This, like, what needs mending? It's really interesting because didn't this just say something about a broken heart? I really love this image. This like chrysalis of just metamorphosis. Isn't that a stupid sentence? But this is about to be fun. So let's go to page 100. That's also interesting. 100 on the dot. Let's see what she has to say. That was the wrong page, but that's also really fucking cool. Okay, here we go. Comfrey. Let me move some folks out the way. What needs mending? Can you stop? How about I let you out of the room so you can stop being so rude? Okay, I think it's interesting that my dog just interrupted this. I think that maybe that's a sign that some of you have picked the wrong pile. So, that being said, if it doesn't feel like it applies to you before we get to the end of reading about Comfrey, then you need to pick another pile. So, all right. Comfrey loves to mend. Skin, bone, soil, there's so much to do. She dives deep, magicking molecules, rebuilding broken chains, restacking cells into tissue and tissue into muscle. This is joyous work for Comfrey, so she tends to the work quickly, sometimes too quickly. Her boldness can border on recklessness, and in her mad scientist exuberance, she can get ahead of herself and forget her first steps. Comfrey is a reminder to work systemically, starting with the deepest layers and working your way out. Even creative endeavors need to be built on a solid foundation. If Comfrey appears, ask what needs mending and then pause to assess and plan before diving in. Okay, love that in collaboration with this stone. Feeling really good about that. Let me move this out of the way. I'm only going to read the reflection. So if you are feeling like you want to learn about the ritual, I suggest you pause here. I'm not going to read all of this because like I said in the last reading, I highly suggest that you, if you like what you see, should consider getting this book for yourself. It's easier to break something than it is to repair it. And yet, there's a rare release in breaking, in dissolution, what we seldom let ourselves feel. Think of the caterpillar Think of the caterpillar that turns into DNA soup during its time in the cocoon so it can emerge as a butterfly. What if you knew, without a doubt, that you could break and be remade? What if you could find joy in the breaking? What possibilities might this open up for you? That is really interesting. Okay, let's put this where you can see it. And then let's get to pulling. This is a hefty stack. So I am trying to fight the urge to say something along the lines of, I think that you might be dealing with a heartbreak that you don't realize you're dealing with. But let's just get to flu. That's exactly what's happening. You are not paying attention to something that hurt you because you don't want to give it any power. But the thing about not giving it power is that it is consistently moving you into a further, I don't want to say broken state because that's rude. And it's not necessarily that it's a broken state, but it's just like it's moving you further away from what you think your whole self is supposed to be like and what your whole self actually is. And because you're moving so far away from your whole self, you're finding yourself subscribing to a lot of self-destructive behaviors, but not necessarily with the intention of them being self-destructive. Because you don't, excuse me, I'm sorry. Because you don't feel like because you are not. It's not a thing about don't feel. It's like you are very deliberate about the work that you are doing to avoid looking at what needs to be looked at. And because you're avoiding that work, you are literally regressing in a way that is going to make you really regret it in the future, because opportunities are going to come. And if you had stayed on the path that you built for yourself in the first place, that required you to get rid of the thing that, if you had gotten rid of the thing before whatever happened to you, like if you had severed the relationship, if you had quit the habit, you would be prepared for an opportunity that you've always dreamt of, but you never wanted to say out loud that you wanted to do. But this also means that there is time for you to step into, not this opportunity is passing for you. So like if you like always wanted to work for, like, I don't know, like Target. You've always wanted to work like in Target's like design team in their headquarters in that one city that I can't think of right now. And you saw that they have a job opening, but then you go to look at the qualifications and realize that you're only 2/3 of the way there. Good news is you can fill that gap. You can finish that last third leg of what you need to do without losing yourself. But you have to be disciplined. And that discipline is going to feel really strange because it's going to start with your smallest habits. And because it starts with your smallest habits, you're going to want to overlook them. You're going to want to be like, oh, well, I mean, I could quit at any time. I could get up earlier at any time. I could go to the gym at any time. And those excuses are going to pile up, and it's going to make it even more difficult for you to get to this point. But the thing about, what did Comfrey say? What would you do if you knew that you could be remade? This is literally saying that you can be remade, but you have to start undoing the things that you did when you were at your proverbial worst. And your proverbial worst, this is interesting. Scorpio, Aquarius, Taurus, Capricorn. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. This is interesting considering these signs that are brought up, because it's, or is it Cancer? No, I'm confused. This one, I'm drawing a blank right now, and I can't figure out why I'm drawing such a hard blank. So I think that this is one of those things where, like, you know who this person is, and like my brain literally cannot compute because that is your business. So this is showing though that the work that it doesn't seem like you avoided this work on purpose. It seems like you genuinely thought that there was another way to get to where you wanted to get to, and you're realizing now that like you wanted to take a back road to get there, and you're seeing that the back road is actually longer than if you took the highway. personal responsibility, personal responsibility, personal responsibility. Whatever this like discomfort is, and like you avoiding like removing yourself from these small habits that are building up into your larger like issues, is not clicking for you because you refuse to take personal responsibility, and then this cycle is like continuing. But the world is an indication that you can break this cycle, and the vibes are off because you've been lying to yourself, and you've been lying to yourself about what it is that you actually want. And because you won't admit what it is that you actually want, you won't make room for that thing. It's like this moment of like, you know what you dreamed about, but those were just stupid dreams that you had when you were a little kid. So it doesn't matter that you aren't the, I almost said the president. I don't want to talk about the president. It doesn't matter that like you're not like famous, because like fame is stupid and you don't want to be famous, and like, you know, you want to be something else, but you haven't identified what that thing is, because you know that what you want is to be famous, to work at Target's offices, to, I don't know, be the next Anna Nicole Smith. There are like so many things that like you have been avoiding doing because you're afraid. There's some kind of shame that you're holding that is aligned, why you won't take personal responsibility, that is aligned with the path that you really want, but you don't really want to talk about wanting. And I think that your fear is like of being ostracized from the people in your life, and kind of getting the vibe that like you are probably financially dependent on somebody. That financial dependence, that person that is giving you money will not approve of the thing. That person that's giving you money, the job that like is paying your bills right now, will not approve of the shift that you have to do. So there is going to be some kind of like, I would suggest like start moving your stuff to a different bank account, or like put your money where it is definitely your money. Start squirreling stuff away so that you can rebuild, so that you can break and be remade. Yeah, because as long as, for them to be back to back and both in reverse, as long as you are under their thumb, you will never feel like yourself, because what yourself really wants is the exact thing that you're denying yourself. And that denial literally is like making you not only hate yourself, but hate everybody that you come in contact with, because they are just a reminder of how distant, how far away you are from the things that you are refusing to admit that you want. Yeah, there has to be a certain like kind of, what's the word? Not regression, retrospect that needs to happen in order for you to think about, where is it? So many cards. To think about those habits that we talked about earlier that you need to start to weed out, because they are piling on and making your life ultimately miserable. So you need to think about like, okay, when was the first time I ever smoked a cigarette? Why did I do it? And like, if cigarettes are the thing that you need to quit in order to feel good, in order to be your best self, because once you quit cigarettes, you know, you'll be able to breathe easier, and then maybe you'll just take up running, and then when you take up running, you realize that like your singing voice changed, and now you put out a mixtape, and now you're on Pitchfork. So like that situation, you need to understand like, why did you do the thing that's making you feel like you can't be yourself, or that it kept you from being your full self? Who was there with you when you made that decision? Why did you trust them with that decision? Does that make sense? There are so many, ooh, I did not mean to pull two up at the same time, but there are so many things that like will make it easier for you to understand. And like the vibe is off because you don't know where to put the blame. Some things you can blame on other people, some things you can't blame on other people. Peer pressure is like a double-edged sword, because yes, they pressured you into doing it, but you also still did it. And you need to understand that like admitting that is not admitting, or no, how say, admitting that is not, it's like a kind of accountability that then leads to forgiveness. And I think that the whole message of this is about forgiveness. There's a moment in which you are beating yourself up so much because you refuse to acknowledge that like you want to like be or do something that everybody has told you was outlandish, and the people that are telling you that it's outlandish are only telling you that because they want, hold on, because they want to dictate what your life is. They don't want you to wake up. The Empress is literally the card of like being about yourself. High Priestess is the card of understanding and like your intuition, but the Empress is like, this is who I am, and who I am, me being who I am, benefits other people. You being who you are does not benefit this person, but fuck this person. So that was a lot. Once again, this stone provides for non-judgmental attitudes and acceptance of the others and self. So you need to go like down, where was it? You need to like go down memory lane. Think about why it is that things are. Think about like who was around you when things came to be, and understand that like the forgiveness starts with you forgiving yourself for not honoring your own boundaries, and then you can decide. You can take forever to decide. You can literally take forever to decide if you forgive those people. It's, everybody says that forgiveness is like super important, but I think that a lot of times forgiveness is marketed as something that we give to other people when it's really something that you have to give to yourself. I forgive myself for doing things that I thought I had to do, because there's literally no way for me to have known that I did not have to do that unless I was removed from the situation, unless I felt safe, unless I had support, unless I had resources. And when you don't feel safe, when you don't have support, when you don't have resources, you do what you feel like you have to do. And sometimes those things that you think you have to do are frivolous. And you need to be forgiven for that. The people that exploited you in those times do not need your forgiveness. So I'm excited for you to come out your goo and see what you want, and be the next Anna Nicole Smith if that tickles your fancy. Once again, here's the stone. She's cute and I like her, and if you have a chance to get your hands on this, I highly suggest it. She feels really good. She feels really light considering the heavy work that she does. Okie dokie. This is the last pile, and this is, I'm gonna try to say this one more time. Mangano. I think it's Mangano Calcite. This tickles. I don't know why it tickles, but it's not uncomfortable to hold, but it's like, it makes me feel giddy. So this is a crystal that helps with tranquilness and well-being, and it attracts new opportunities that will help to teach you about I'm not even holding it in the shot, to teach you about universal love. This is really interesting. It says that this also helps counselors and healers to forge strong and energetic connections with the patient, allowing for healing energies of the stone to travel to the right location on your body. So I feel like maybe if you've been like feeling a way about something, we're about to figure out what it is. The vibe that you're feeling might be heavy, and I feel my energy shifting. My incense has gone out. I don't feel the need to light another one for this reading. So the vibe is really off for you. I feel different. So I'm gonna put a little bit more fertilizer on my hands to, no offense, but like, your vibe is your vibe, and I don't need it to come to my house. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this on and say that I don't know what to say. I won't say anything until we pull cards. This is also a relatively large stack, so let's go. Okay, the vibe is off. I said earlier that I've never read these cards in reverse, so this is the first time I've ever seen. I promise I've used this deck multiple times, and I touch it often, and I really like this deck. I read the book. It's great. But I've never seen, literally every card that I pulled today, I have literally never seen. I think that's really interesting. So, Elderberry is in reverse for some reason, and it says... I actually can't read that font, so we'll look in a second. And then Plantain, and it says Wild. That's interesting. So let's read it. Let's start with Plantain, and then let's go to Elderberry. I don't know how to read this as a reversal, so we're gonna look into it together, basically. I'm gonna move this out of the way so that I can make a little bit more room for us to read and enjoy. So Plantain is on page 68. And my throat feels weird. What you got going on, bro? If you let her, Plantain will share stories of wagon trains and ocean crossings and Alexander's shenanigans in Egypt. Given a chance, she'll make a traveler of you too, drawing you gently out of your comfort zone, you're stubborn, moving from safe to the edge of the wild, pushing the boundaries of civilized behavior and laughing at your scruples. It will start with a small thing. Plantain might offer leave to ease a sting or the itch of poison ivy. Just chew it and spit it on the bite, she'll encourage. Great Aunt Hilda would have had a heart attack, you would think, while the inner wild child smiles gleefully as this is a baby step away from civilized. You are so stubborn. Drawing out. What did I say in the other ones? I'm not reading the ritual. If you want to read the ritual, go ahead and pause it, screenshot it, zoom in. I'm not sure what'll be best for you, but I'm just going to be reading the parts of the reflection. If you like what you see, I highly suggest you buy the book. I'm not trying to take money out of Mayatol's hands by showing you all these pages. So, reflection. Plantain's special magic is pulling out what's stuck. She'll draw out feelings what if I could read? She'll draw out feelings in much the same way that she removes the splinters and the insect stingers. If you were to sit down with Plantain and let her cradle your soul, what would happen? What shards would she pluck from your heart? What poison would she draw from your spirit? What pain or discomfort would she dig out from your body? Are you willing to let Plantain draw the suffering from you? If not, why? That's interesting because I'm getting that you're stubborn, and I think that like part of your stubbornness is coming from mistrust and like pain, and I think that Elderberry being in reverse is interesting. So Elderberry is on page 84. Let's see. Cyclicality. Today's making me feel like I don't know how to read. Okay. Elderberry traditionally lives at the center of the garden, telling stories of winters past and springs yet to come. Though often scraggly and a questionable centerpiece, her three faces embody the goddess. Maiden in the spring, abundant with white petals, mother in the summer with wine-red berries to adorn her branches, and crone in autumn. When her leaves are falling away, she looks quite dead in the winter, all bare and branches and hollow bones. Elderberry's yearly evolution teaches you to dance with the closely twined cycles of life, death and rebirth. Wherever you are in life, she reminds you that acceptance of life's cyclicity. Oh my god, I give up. I'm just going to Google it later and let the Google lady tell me how to pronounce it because I am butchering it today. It's the key to earning you a spot at the garden center. Upward climbing spiral. Our evolution is let me make sure that y'all can see both pages. Our evolution is an upward climbing spiral. We repeat lessons, gaining wisdom as we go, but if we hop from thing to thing, never repeating, declaring things done after one go-round, we deny ourselves this growth, this ability to evolve into the goddess at the center of the garden. Do you take the time to dive deep, allowing cycles of repetition to enhance your own understanding? Do you allow new knowledge to take root in your hands and your heart through practice, or do you hold knowledge only in your head, denying yourself true learning and wisdom? You're stubborn. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but it seems like your bullheadedness is making you feel like the vibe is off, when I think that you might be the off vibe. I think that you potentially, I'm really not trying to be mean. I really think that you have a tendency to project your emotions onto other people and not realize you're doing so, and then wonder why everybody's pissed off at you all the time. And that inability to like read the room, it like, you have the struggle within yourself where you're like, is it me or is it them? And also, is this more than one card? This is one card. Okay, it just feels really, it feels weird. You got things feeling really weird. Your inability to understand like if it's you or if it's them causes you to stay on the outskirts. I think that you might have a hard time feeling like you are able to like collaborate with your community and like do things like outside of the realm of what you normally do. Like, I think that you definitely crave a life that is very different from your childhood. Six of Cups is about nostalgia. In reverse, it's about trauma. You have a desire to build a life that's completely different from your childhood, but because you are unwilling to open up, you are cutting yourself off from resources. And because you're cutting yourself off from resources, these cards feel so thick right now. I think that you have like a cloud over you and you don't even realize it. Because you're cutting yourself off from resources, you just feel like you can never fucking win. You're probably like, you probably feel like you're perpetually broke, which like, there are a lot of factors that go into why people are unable to like advance financially. Most of it is systemic oppression, and sometimes it is like, there was a line I think in Elderberry about jumping from thing to thing and like not really thinking about things. Like, if you're somebody who can't keep a job, it seems like somebody always has a problem with you at whatever job you have, whether you're working at like a restaurant or a shoe store. Then you have to think like, am I just not a good worker? And if you're not a good worker, that's fine. I don't think I'm a great worker when it comes to retail. I need an office job to feel like a bad bitch. So if you are feeling like everything sucks and you've tried a million things, you need to try 1,000,001 things, but you also need to understand that like your past knowledge of like your jobs, like, why did you get fired from the shoe store? Did you tell somebody their feet stink? You know, like, there are things that like, it's not your job to deliver, but you have made it so that you feel like in order for you to be fully accepted, you have to be an asshole. And that is really unnecessary. Your inability to think compassionately about how your actions are affecting others are driving people away from you. And because people are being driven away from you, you are like, what's the word? 6 is also like, it's not submissive energy, but it is submissive energy. Like, there's like a moment in which you're just not taking responsibility. You're not holding yourself accountable for your actions, and people don't want to be around somebody who is not being honest. And that the vibe feels off for you because your vibe is catching up with you. And because your vibe is catching up with you, you are about to, somebody's going to leave. Somebody's going to get tired of your bullshit, your inability to be honest, to take accountability, to be reliable, and they're going to leave. And them leaving is going to be entirely warranted, and you're going to probably beg them to stay. You're going to want things to stay the way that they are, but they will not give you that chance that you feel like you deserve, and you don't deserve it. You really don't deserve to like start over with this person, because you are entirely incapable of understanding what it is that you've done to, it seems like, to literally, you're traumatizing people. Like, I honestly be really surprised if you even listen to the rest of this message, because I'm not. You have 4 cards left. I'm not feeling like you actually want to hear this. I think that you want to blame other people so bad that you have no desire to change. Or if you leave, if you are about to click out, your inability to even let a stranger, a random ass bitch who probably doesn't even live in the same city as you, to tell you about yourself, who's never met you, then you will never fucking change. And your inability to change, eclipse season is right now. This energy is going to last for another year. You are only going to keep losing and keep being removed and keep being ostracized and keep being ridiculed by the people around you because you are stubborn. And if you do not break past that stubbornness, you will get to a point in which you will have like a spiritual breakdown. Like there will be a moment in which you will have to face the facts. This could mean like somebody pressing charges on you for something that you did, or like everybody having an intervention. Like there's going to be something. If you do not start apologizing and start to mend the vibe that you have fucked up, if you don't start to think about things in the way, I highly suggest you go back and listen to again, maybe read the ritual for plantain. You need to do things differently, or else like there's just like a very small window for you to show people that you're changing and for people to believe you. But there's going to be one person who does not believe you because you have done them the worst, and it's going to hurt, but ultimately that is going to be the change that you need to get your shit together. Once again, this stone is beneficial for any type of emotional trauma. That whole hurt people bullshit is so raggedy, because I think that a lot of times people are like, well, I was abused as a child and that's why I called you a bitch. I don't care. I think that people are also coming to the point where they low-key don't care. Your actions may have an explanation, but that is not an excuse. Whatever you have felt to be like a debilitating amount of like self-doubt that causes you to be a complete doo-doo head to everybody in your life is about to make you lonely. And it seems like your biggest fear is being alone. And that really comes from these 3 original cards. I don't think that you are a lost cause. I think that is very possible that that has been said to you before. I think that it is not impossible for you to find solace, but you need to not do it at the consequence of someone else. Like you need to be mindful about where you are, what you're doing, who you're speaking to, how you're speaking to them, where you're finding joy, how you're finding joy, and at whose expenses is joy coming from. This is kind of painful. I wish you the best, but ultimately I think that you should probably find a therapist. If you picked this pile and this pile resonated with you, please do not contact me to book. And if you do, I will see through your bullshit. And yeah, I do not have the energy to support you through your what's the word? Your transformations. But there are definitely people in your vicinity that do. I can guarantee you that. I feel it. I feel a beacon of light for you, but just understand that I will not be helping you light that torch. So all right, that's it actually. Okay, this reading got spicy. I really enjoyed working with these crystals I never worked with. I really enjoyed working with this framing is awful. I'm so sorry, but that last reading really I got a little sassy there, so I'm not feeling real real collaborative right now. But thank you so much for joining me again. A reminder that in my what's it called, in the description box you can find out how to book me. I that last one really took it out of me. I don't know if you could tell, but I really feel like the vibe is off, and these readings I feel like are really interesting because so many of them talked about like looking deeper as to the root of the vibe. And for some people, the root of the vibe seems to be like an action that sparked habits and desires, and for some people the root of the vibe seems to be them. So it be how it be. I don't know what else to say except for thank you for watching. I think that I'm gonna try and instill, well, I'm all disheveled. I'm gonna try and instill this consistency. I think I like Tarot Tuesdays. If you like Tarot Tuesdays, give me a thumbs up. If you want to make sure that you never miss another Tarot Tuesday, this is my second one. If you want to make sure that you stay up to date, go ahead and turn on the notifications. Godspeed. I have no idea what to say right now. The vibe is off. I forgot to say that you should listen to my podcast, Wildest Dream Podcast, where we dig deep into the dreams of our listeners, and you should submit your dreams to Wildest Dream Podcast so we can listen to your dreams, and then we can tell you what your dreams are about. Bye. The vibe is off.